What's up, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Mettle. In today's episode, we are going to chat to JP VD Walt. JP has found himself on the top step of the podium at Simola Hillclimb 3 times in a row. He also drives the Porsche 911 Turbo S. JP VD Walt, welcome to Behind the Mettle. How are you doing, bud?
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. I'm doing very well in yourself, Jason.
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm doing good. Look, the first thing that I always say to the guys when they jump onto the show is, how prepared are you with hill climb less than 3 weeks away?
I think you always feel like you left things for last minute. You're not prepared. People always ask me, and have you practiced? I said, how do you practice for this? You can't practice. I can't practice, you know?
Yeah, there's no such, you can sort of make sure maybe the car's put together and you can put pressure on the car and the engine and the gearbox and the suspension, but it's not the same driving around a circuit compared to going up a 2-kilometer hill. It's very, very different.
No, exactly. You know, so I think, you know, you always need to understand what class you're competing in and not make the mistake to compare the classes, because I think your prep is different, your runs are up, the hill is different, you know, and that's all based on rules. So I think where it's easier for me in Class A, which is the road going cars or supercar class, you know, if your car is basically roadworthy, that's it. You know, you can't do anything to the car. You're not allowed to modify. I believe there's a new class this year. It's a bit confusing on the entry list. I see the modified cars are also Class A with us. So I'm not 100% sure how it's working, but we'll figure that out over the weekend. But you need to make sure you've got, I would say, 2 sets of tires, you know, in the sense of maybe a bit more aggressive tire for the rain and more what's allowed in your, you know, on the brand that you're racing. If that car comes out with that tire from the OEM, that tire is out the one that's going to give you the most grip. And you know, take that with fuel, a jack. You know, you don't really need a lot of pit crew. You know,
fuel, a jack, and a 13 spanner.
Back for that battery that want to die in winter. So, yeah.
So listen, so that's a lot of what you just spoken about. Now I'm actually going to ask you a little bit more in depth as we go on. But before we actually jump onto the hill climb piece of it, where we're going to talk about your 911 Porsche, I just want to get a brief introduction to your racing history. I mean, other than hill climb and the Porsche, which is what we're going to talk about, what other racing do you do?
So I don't have a very long racing career for various reasons. It's not the cheapest sports out there.
Not at all.
For the past 2 years, I've been competing in Supercar. It runs with Global Touring Cars last year. This year, it's renamed to South African Touring Cars. So I've actually just raced Kailami this past weekend. That was my first race for the year. Unfortunately, I missed the first round due to injury. So I was out. I'm actually only supposed to return to racing in June, but you know, you can't say no for Kailami and you can't say no for Simola Hillclimb. Simola is probably the biggest event, biggest motorsport event in South Africa, you know.
Those are the biggest ones for the year, absolutely. Okay, so you've been driving that for a little while, okay?
Yeah, prior to the Polo Cup, 2 years, and before that VW Challenge, and that's basically it. You know, circuit racing, competitive circuit racing, and many moons ago, I was involved in testing vehicles for Porsche Germany, VW Driving Academy. Yeah. There's more development.
So you're no stranger to a Porsche. You're no stranger behind the wheel. I mean, you know the cars handle. You know how they drive. So that particular chassis and platform was not foreign to you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I actually used to test the development testing with Richard Roots for Porsche.
Okay.
Yeah, we can tell you home stories in Uppington and Spitskop up to Namibia, many nights and many kilometers.
Okay. But that sort of brings us to where we are now. So you're a competitor in Simola Hillclimb, right? You said to me you've been driving Simola Hillclimb for about 4 years now?
This will be year 4, the 4th year.
This will be year 4. And every single year since you've been at Simola in the same class, you've always found a spot onto that podium. And it's usually the top step. Have I got that right?
Yes, we've been fortunate enough to win it every single year that we've entered.
Okay, that means I just want to actually show people exactly what, since we're getting into the car now and hill climb, I just want to show people what it is we're actually talking about. So there we go. That right there is your 2021 car, okay? Or that, at least that's what it looked like. Now, what I wanted to find out from you, that particular car there, is that the same car that you've been racing year on year with just different liveries?
No, that's a car I've used once in 2021.
Oh, okay.
It's a GT3 RS.
Yeah.
And in 2022, I used a 2016 911 Turbo S Generation 2. That's correct. So I kept the design, that Porsche Motorsport V on the front, the same,
Yes.
but different cars.
Okay.
So quite a big change in the cars in the sense of how they handle, and completely different engines, Turbo S, twin turbo, GT3 RS naturally aspirated, much lighter, much more aero. And funny enough, the times were very close with those two cars.
That was sort of going to be my next question. What was the motivation to change the car from the one to the other?
I just thought, the Turbo S, I think I can gain more off the line. And I was actually quite surprised. I didn't gain a lot of the line versus the GT3 RS. And I think part of the reason is how they trap you on the pull away. It doesn't go on reaction or, on immediate wheel movement. So they only trap you probably, I think it's about 10 or 20 meters in front of the car. So the four-wheel drive,
I mean, from the start line to where the first lap is for your transponder, I think it's like about 6 or 7 meters. So you could literally roll up to it if you want to. It's not gonna kick your time off.
So it's not that huge gain that I thought I will have. And what I've also experienced is every year it's the same problem. The road rubber doesn't bite on the racing rubber. So even with the four-wheel drive car, in fact, I've experienced more wheel spin with the Turbo S than with the GT3 RS. The car just stands still. Yeah, it's almost pointless to use. Well, it is pointless to use the launch control. The car's just standing there and it's battling for grip. And it's just purely because the road rubber, doesn't grip on the racing rubber. If you're a Formula One fan, you hear it often. The different categories actually makes the track more slippery for the F1 tire, and I think it's a similar scenario. Yeah.
And also, we need to sort of bear in mind, people don't realize that the road that you guys race up for hill climb, it's a 1.98 kilometer stretch uphill. It's a regular, everyday road. It's not a prep track circuit. You're not getting last week's track bite. You're getting a road that just got washed by the rain. You've got dust on the road. You've got sand on the road. And yes, all of you guys have to deal with the same road, but it is just a regular road. It's not a special road at all.
Yeah, correct. Sometimes you get washed 3 times or 4 times a day, while, it's you never know your next run, if it's going to be wet or dry. Sometimes it's dry at the bottom and it's completely, you can't see at the top how hard it's raining at the top. Absolutely. I think another thing, also to mention to you that's quite interesting is, and I think a lot of people forget about it. Unfortunately, we can't use tire warmers. So every run you go up there, you've got ice cold tires. On a Porsche, no grip on the front. So it's every time you just hope that right hander going up there, that really first turn, the car's going to grip through there. And again, braking for the bridge, how much grip you're going to have there. Where the other two classes they're allowed to tire warmers. We don't have tire warmers. We're not allowed to keep heat close to the car, nothing. And I think that's one of the most difficult things for us is, you don't know what's the grip levels.
Yeah, understood completely. So just back onto the car again. If we go back here, give me a sec. All right, so this car, right, the 2022 that you've been driving, is this the one that you drove in 2023 as well?
No, 2023 I went and competed with the 2021 911 992 Turbo S. That was the successor of that car. So the 992 is the latest generation. That's a new one again.
Is that the one there with the green livery?
That's correct. That's a 992, and that's the same car. I've got unfinished business with this car.
Please tell me more. What kind of unfinished business we're looking at? Because you won with that car, and you also won convincingly. You didn't win by a small margin. I'm sorry. Just before you go on to what you were going to say about your unfinished business, I was looking at these results the other day. Where is this thing? Give me a sec. I'm just going to read it out to you while I'll put you on the screen. So in 2023, right, you went up in the Porsche. It's got you labeled as having the 911 Turbo S in brackets 992.
Yes.
Up the mountain, you did 44.991. That was your time up the mountain.
That was the last run on a damp track. The fastest run in the weekend was I think it was a 43.2. So
43.2.
Yes. Yeah. So it was quite a bit faster than the previous 2 years, but that time they've got there was the last run and the track was damp.
Yes, and I'm speaking to a lot of the guys. I mean, we spoke to Recha just the other day. Everybody was obviously plagued by the same thing. Last year was a strange year where many years before that you were guaranteed that the last couple of hours of the Sunday when the main races happen, it's a dry track. But that particular day, it was a combination of wet, dry, and you could see everyone's times, came down by a second or two because you had to just be a little bit more easy around that track. But on that day, with you doing a 44.9 in the final session, the closest person to you was Garth McIntosh, right? He was in the McLaren 720S, and he did a 47, right?
Yes.
And that is almost 2.5 seconds difference. And in racing numbers, 2.5 seconds is an eternity. So you had a convincing lead on a lot of those cars, right? Behind that, and this is something I would have bragged about until the day I die. And I don't mean any shade by this. In your class, you also had Mika Salo driving in the Mercedes-Benz AMG 45S. You also did a 47. But if I was you, my Facebook stories, my Instagram stories, my reels would have said, I beat Mika Salo. That's all I would have been saying for the rest of my life. Because if people follow Mika Salo as a Formula One driver, a driver that put Ferrari on the top of a podium, a driver that stood in for Michael Schumacher when he was ill, and you beat him. That's the story I would say to everybody. That's exactly what I would say.
That is probably the highlights of Simola for the past 3 years, definitely. To share a podium with an ex-Formula One driver, it's quite special, definitely. It is special.
Absolutely. Look, we take nothing away from Mika Salo. He's an absolutely great driver. I'm just saying this, obviously, just for entertainment's sake. He might have, I think he was also there and an invite, and also in a car that he's not familiar with, driving up the hill, whatever. But you still get to say that you shared a podium with Mika Salo, and that is absolutely awesome.
He's got so much experience, different cars, different tires, different, conditions. So you expect him to be on top of his game still. If you look what Alonso does at his age.
So listen, the car that you have now, the 992. Right. Well, it's a 911, but you call it the 992.
That's correct.
Why do you have that difference? Why do you call it
that? What do I call?
So it's a 911, the car that you're driving, the Porsche 911.
Yeah.
That is.
So,
let me go back.
So the series, the shape, the series is like BMW's got a 5 Series, Porsche got a 911, and then they've got the engineering codes like Again, on the BMW, you've got an F code for the chassis, and here Porsche got so it's a 911, a 991, Gen 1, a Generation 2. Now the new shape, the engineering code is a 992, Generation 1, and then you'll probably get next year a Generation 2. So it will be a 911 992.2, where this is a 911 992.1.
Oh, got you. And is it the same? I mean, Porsche runs, so your particular car, I know Porsche runs the PDK transmissions, and you've got a 7-speed auto or a 6-speed manual, right? That is what the cars come with. What are you driving?
So the 992's got all of them are PDKs and Turbo S. You don't get a manual. And
Oh, is
this
it?
is
Oh, okay. I thought you had the manual.
no. This is all PDK. All the GT3 RS also only came out with PDK. Turbo S PDK. This is PDK again.
Okay. And that, so you said you've got some unfinished business. What are we talking about? What kind of unfinished business?
So last year, on the Friday night, you participate in the parade, just a build up for the event. And I went and put in fuel. There's a designated filling station where you need to put in fuel because they can randomly do fuel tests, take samples. And I went there, I stopped, put in fuel, the car just didn't want to start. Like dead. So what's going on here? Long story short, many calls to Porsche, different technicians. They said there is a common issue on the 992 Porsches, the earth strap. It's just, a strap 10 centimeters long behind the right rear wheel. They do come loose, and that might cause the problem. And it was the case, and unfortunately the car went into like a semi-limp mode. I couldn't use Sport Plus function, which means if you don't have Sport Plus, you don't have an extra 50 horsepower. I couldn't use launch control, can't change the car from a comfort mode into a sport mode on the settings. The gearbox is in a slower mode, the throttle is in a less aggressive mode, the steering is in also a lazier mode. So I had to compete the whole weekend with a car in that semi-limp mode, if I can call it. So let's say
So are you saying you got sorry to cut you, are you saying you got the 44.9 seconds or whatever your winning time was with a car that was basically in Sunday drive mode?
That's correct. And that's why I felt like it's unfinished business. I need to see what the car can do. So I'm giving it a last chance.
Okay. Look, if let's just imagine everything works out perfectly on the race day. The final run, you got the wind at your back, the track is perfectly dry, nicely rubber from all the other guys, and your car performs like it should. All the modes are where they should be in the cars. You'd be doing a lot faster than a 44.
Yeah, a very low 43 is definitely possible. I don't think it, I was such a disadvantage last year. And the reason why I say that is because we had so much running in the wet. And it even might have helped a bit off the line. There's slightly less horsepower. So I don't think it affected me that badly. Definitely there was an effect. But like I say, we did a 43 last year with a car like that. So I think a very low 43 is possible.
Okay, so if you got that car basically working like it should, you're going to have to pedal a little bit more going up that hill, because now you're going to have all that power underneath your foot. So now you're going to have to control it all the way up that hill. That's going to be fun.
It is. And I think, also with a road car, the difference, versus a race car is when you go up there with a race car and something happens, you fix a race car and you race it again. When you go up there with a road car and something goes wrong, it probably becomes a race car, because if you can throw the husband, or you're going to change it into a race car. So you do go up there with this price tag of 5 million rand replacement value. So you are more cautious than in a race car, definitely. Well, I am. I can't afford to.
It makes sense to me, because you said that is a big number, and you are driving some very expensive metal. But before we finish off and before we close this down, I just wanted to find out something. In Simola Hillclimb and the class that you're in, which is the road going and supercar class, let's put to the side the new class that they've got at the moment. In the class that you are currently in, what are you allowed any leeway with regards to modifications on your car? Or does your car have to be as it left the factory floor? Are you allowed to change anything? Are you allowed to tune it differently? Are you allowed to do any sort of hard mods on the car? Anything at all?
Not at all. No modifications, no, higher octane fuel, nothing. The only thing nothing off the showroom floor. The only thing you're allowed to do is, if the manufacturer, like BMW, like Porsche, like VW on Golf R, let's say they do supply Akrapovic exhausters, or Akrapovic, how you want to pronounce it. They supply that with a part number, or you can buy it from their parts department.
Yes.
Like that. You are allowed.
Okay.
The tires that manufacturer sells you through their parts department, you can use that tire. So if they do have a bit of a more like a Michelin Cup R or a Cup N, if Porsche sells it, you're allowed to use it. But I can't go and fit a set of Toyo semi-slicks. I'm not allowed. You can't buy it from parts department.
Okay. That is interesting.
That car is what you need to get from the parts department from that OEM. So nothing. So like I actually wasn't aware of it. There's a new class for the year. I found it out about a month ago. So there's a modified class for guys that wants to modify. So it's going to be an interesting year. I'm actually looking forward because I believe there's RST Audi making 450 kilowatts that's coming from me.
Wow.
It's going to be awesome to compare because I think that costs probably a good 400 kilo, probably 350 to 400 kilograms lighter than the Porsche. So that should definitely go faster. I'm not sure what's the regulations on tires, but if they can run tire warmers, they will definitely beat any car off the show. It doesn't matter.
But are you saying that this new class will be running alongside you? Like you'll be running your road going car in the same class as a modified car?
I've actually tried to find out. We all are classified as Class A, so I'm not sure if there's going to be 4 kings, if I can call it. You know, the single-seater, the race cars, the supercars that comes off the showroom floor, and then the new. Will there be 4 kings? I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. Look, I've heard about it.
It's like the tires they can make up, I would say, probably 2 seconds, just tires.
And that's a lot.
That's huge. So I'm pretty sure there should be another complete loss. You know, if modifications are allowed and different tires are allowed, and tire warmers.
Okay, JP, before we go, one last question. I'll just open up with the slide in here. Give me a sec. Okay, so is this a car you're going to be driving? This one right here? Are you going to have a different livery on this one, or is it going to look the same?
I suddenly can't see your screen anymore. Is it the green one you showed me?
Oh, are you not able to see it anymore?
I can't see your screen's gone, but I can hear you, and you can see. I've figured out you can see me, so it's fine.
Yeah, I can. Strange. Okay, I don't know what's happened. Okay, I've got a picture which I'm just going to show to the audience. So at the moment, the slide that I've got on here now is you on the podium with your bottle of champagne, spraying it at the people. The last slide is from 2022, where you are holding a shoe up and someone is drinking champagne out of your shoe. I know what that is. It's a shoey. Daniel Ricciardo opened that up a while ago. Was that your shoe, my guy? And who was the homie drinking out of your shoe?
I can't see the picture, but it can only be Richard Roots.
It wasn't Richard. No, it's not Richard drinking out of your shoe. Give me 1 second. I'll just click this picture. It's he's got one of your team jackets on. It's one of your team guys.
Oh, it's one of my sales guys.
One of your sales guys said, "But you're drinking out of my shoe, or you're not going to get your car this month."
That was it. Oh, you know, Richard was drinking out of my shoe at Kalami Motoring Festival. Yes, that's where he was drinking out of my shoe.
Oh, okay, yeah. That picture was a picture I took of you at 2022 when I was in the crowd, and I posted it to Boostsa a while back. But look, JP, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, my guy. It's been awesome.
Thanks. We're looking forward.
Absolutely. Less than 3 weeks to go. We're looking forward to being there, and I look forward to seeing you on the hill.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
But thanks so much. You have a good evening and good luck with prep going towards the hill. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers,
Thanks
man.
a lot. Looking forward to see you. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.